Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special Pecino report. 48 hours ago, we put our normally regular recorded episode 11 to bed, confident that we were up to date in the latest news. I did some post-production on that. That was a fairly late night. I went to bed and I woke up the next morning, and as most of us do, I rolled over and checked my phone.
And the world had stopped.
And basically the world had stopped. Stu had sent me a message overnight leading to a international, it was a US-based sports site that was basically leading the article of Paul Espargaro to join Marc Marquez at Honda in 2021. And from there, the world has not been the same place in the world of MotoGP media. This is obviously, even at a speculative level, which is where we are finding ourselves at the moment, it's had massive, massive knock-on effects. The noise that is being generated out of this has been the largest that I've seen this year, let alone for the last couple of years, of what this means for from a MotoGP grid position. Stu, thank you so much for sending that through. It really lifted my Friday. But what it did do was when Manuel got up from a Spanish perspective, it was like, guys, we need a breaking news episode on this. And he's exactly right, because the news has only just increased in size, noise, and lack of evidence. So what else have you heard out there, Stu?
Yeah, well, as you say, David, it only broke 48 hours ago, and since then it seems that every media organisation is running it on their front pages. Since then, I can see that there's been more pressing questions put to other people who are associated with the riders in question. We're hearing the usual, hey, we don't know anything from everybody, but we'll talk more about that. So it seems like the ripple effects from this have only just started. So hopefully we can unpack some of that as we go over the next few minutes. We've
brought the team especially back together. We normally don't record on a Saturday night, but as I said, Manuel was flagging it. Is it like, guys, this really needs to go out? So when the boss
normally
called,
4 beers in by now.
And you wouldn't want to be anywhere else anyway. What else would you really want to be doing than talking about this?
Mr. Pecino, you've obviously got an opinion on this. Help us out. Help us understand what's really going on in MotoGP.
Hi to everyone. Yes, look, basically what I want is to explain our listeners how to approach something like this, right? Because as you said, there all the websites, all the whatever, the news, the radios are talking about this. But if you go down to the bottom, there are just 2 or 3 quotes about this story. So everyone copies and everyone speculates. And this is something that we do not hear at our Pecino podcast. We do not speculate. We don't talk about there is going around, there is saying around. No, we go down to the facts.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
What we know, we explain. What we don't know, we say don't know. That is basically our philosophy, correct? Okay, so to make it as short as possible, the story is the following. The news came out that Paul Espargaro may join HRC. Okay, so the first thing is a shock, but then if you analyze it a little bit deeper, and you will agree with me, it sounds so weird that for me, it is something that was already planned in advance. And I explain you why.
Okay.
Last year, when Alex Marquez was hired by the Repsol team, all of us were surprised because of that. A rookie entering in a Repsol team with no experience, with a lot of pressure. And this was something surprising. When we see now what is happening, you go back and you think, okay, last year there was no place in any other team, so they put him in that Repsol Honda team. Okay, now what they are saying that is going to happen, that Alex Marquez is going from that Repsol team that is the most important team to another team where he will be less away from the spotlight. Okay, this makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
If you think about this.
More of the usual path that a rookie will take when they come into the top flight.
Yeah, and why didn't it happen last year? Because there was no place inside the LCR team. Okay, Cal had a contract sign and Nakagami had a contract sign. Okay, Repsol team could have hired Cal into the team and made a switch, but it didn't happen. We don't know why. Okay, but if you think it's quite logical what is happening. Okay, so this is basically the analysis taking out the fireworks, if you think about it. If this is the reality, okay. If it isn't the reality, if it's just something surprising, then it can have a lot of consequences we are going to analyze later.
Yeah, it's a
Is
hell of
this
a
something
story.
that is this
Go for it,
something that
Andrew.
happens, being that I'm new to this, and I know, say, if you go to American football, they have their, each year all the draft and all that sort of stuff. Is this the kind of thing that happens every year, or is this situation unique?
No, the situation is absolutely unique and surprising because it involves the brother of the reference of MotoGP right now. And it's something quite absurd. Whether it's true or not, what is clear is that the way they are doing it is a complete error.
So a lot of the influence sounds like it might be because he's his brother rather than Alex on his own merit.
It's important the way to communicate the things. If it's true, it's very bad communicated. If it's not true, it's a mess.
Yeah, indeed. Dave?
Andrew, the question that I've got for you is, it being just briefly, we do want to keep this, nice and tight for the listeners. As the newest participant to this group, what's your perspective of what's going on here?
And so the MotoGP.
What's your perspective? You're obviously reading the same news we are. Manuel reads it in a very different way. How are you taking all this in?
I mean, I think, like I just mentioned, I sort of compare it. I was sitting there today going, is this the same? Is it like this every year? Obviously, the year might be usually the year might be winding up and riders are going to change and this and that. But this, I can tell from the excitement and the urgency of this, that this mustn't be a normal situation. I mean, in regards to the riders, and the way I just look at it is the different teams are trying to get their best, riders for their teams before they kick back in. And I can see that domino effect that I think I heard mentioned, that, once they start moving around, it throws a whole lot out.
You are right. There is a lot of news out there. But spending the afternoon sort of trawling through that, three things for me became absolutely crystal clear, and this will set the conversation up for Manuel. There's a lot of media out there saying that Pol Espargaro has confirmed his exit from KTM at the end of the season. I can't find either way whether or not that has been confirmed.
Even direct quotes from his manager to say the opposite. Quotes,
yeah, exactly right. So that was being labelled as fact. I'd put a question mark above that. What we can put a big tick against is Alberto Puig, with the press release that he officially put out through HRC channels, fairly long-winded. What I took out of that was his direct quote of, "We do not have any contract signed with anyone that we have not already announced." That's fact. The third,
are they building excitement, ready for the racing, to get people back into racing before it goes back?
I don't know. We'll let Manuel talk about that. The third is that this is big enough. When you look at every single sports network globally at the moment, they are running this as their lead story. Whether or not they're basing it on fact is irrelevant, but this story is large enough to be taking up header space in every single sports website, media outlet. So this is how big this is. So probably the kickoff now over to Manuel. What are the implications, first of all, for Alex Marquez, Manuel?
Well, first of all, I want to say that it's big because there is not much happening. The echo is because the room is empty. So it hits on the wall, it comes back, because basically there is nothing happening in sports around the world. But this is it's a topic. So I think we should analyze the people and the situation, the people and the teams involved in this. Again, we have to work like a surgeon, right? Take away all the what is not important and go down to the point. Okay, let's start with Alex Marquez, right? Alex Marquez looks like the victim of this situation, which he really is, whether it's true or not. Because if it's not true that he will change the team, he already looks like a fool.
Yeah.
Okay,
he loses no matter what happens.
Yeah, and he already looks like a fool, and nobody has came out to defend him.
Yeah.
Honda has not said, no, he's our rider. Nobody has said nothing. Okay.
His brother hasn't even made a statement.
His brother is silent. Okay, but Alex is the loser of this story. Whether he stays or whether he goes, doesn't matter. All right? Then we have the attitude of Honda. It's the same. Honda has not come out to defend his rider or to give or to sustain his rider. Okay, this shows that they are kind of cruel with him.
Yep.
Okay, for me this is so clear. And again, if it's true that this switch, it's another one of these projects that Mr. Alberto Puig starts that we don't know how we will end. The list of the fake tries of Alberto is very long.
Yeah.
Just let's just check quickly. Look, he fired Dani Pedrosa from Honda. Remember? That is Dani Pedrosa now, the best test rider in KTM.
Yep.
He tried to get Zarco because Zarco was supposed the one to substitute Pedrosa in the Repsol team. Where is Zarco now? In Ducati. He hired Lorenzo. We know how the story of Lorenzo finished.
Yeah.
All right? We know that. He paid Lorenzo to leave, and 48 hours later, Lorenzo was Yamaha test rider. Another brilliant idea of Mr. Puig. Then he hires Alex Marquez. And now look the situation of Alex Marquez. So now his new brilliant idea is Pol Espargaró. Are we going to see the end of the story? Because all his stories start and they never have time to end.
Exactly, yeah.
Correct?
He's all idea, but he's no execution.
So this is basically Honda's situation. Then let's analyze Espargaró. And again, to give answers, you have to do yourself questions. This is the key of journalism. Pol Espargaró alongside Marc Marquez. Is Pol Espargaró a better rider than Johan Zarco, who is twice world champion? Is Pol Espargaró a better rider than Jorge Lorenzo, who was there and didn't make it? And the question is Pol Espargaró a better rider than Alex Marquez, twice world champion?
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't jump above any of those names for me, realistically.
I don't answer this question. I just throw them and you think about it, Why Pol Espargaró? Why? Okay.
Could I play devil's advocate to that though, Manuel? If you go back and look at the Moto2 seasons when Pol and Mark were competing with each other, Pol was able to push Mark in those years. So for me, that was a fairly natural fit of going back through the history books and having a look at who has been able to take it to Mark on his own terms. Do you think there's any credibility in that's what Honda were thinking at the time of going back and looking at who's been able to push Mark?
David, that's the answer to my question. You give yourself your answers. I don't give. I just do the questions. You did exactly what you have to do. You think, you have then a point of view, and you give yourself your answer. And if you are satisfied with that, up to you. The story is what we said. I personally think that this was planned. If not, why Pol Espargaró? I have probably a theory why Pol Espargaró, but I let you think your own. And then just let's go quickly back. The fourth character of this story is the team LCR, the team where Alex Marquez is supposed to go, right?
Exactly.
In that team, we have two riders that are Cal Crutchlow and Nakagami. Okay, two riders who have a reason to stay there. Yeah. Cal Crutchlow because he's the test rider for Marc Marquez, the rider who rides closer to Marc Marquez style. So he's basically, it looks like necessary. And the other one is Nakagami, who is a Japanese rider, the only Japanese rider in the category. If you go back to last year, Cal Crutchlow said that he was ready to retire.
Yep.
Okay. This would match with preparing a plan to switch Alex Marquez into that team in 2021. Remember? But now, Cal said that he wants to continue.
Yeah.
Okay. So Then we go to the quotes of the team manager of that team, LCR.
Yep.
He says that they would like to sign both riders again for the next period.
That was Lucio's preference, yes.
Yeah, but if you listen to his words, you just have to listen carefully and not just listen. Pay attention. He says that Carl is discussing with Honda because he has to close the deal with Honda, not with him.
Yes, that's outside of LCR's hands.
Yeah.
And then he speaks about the Japanese rider, and he said, as long as Honda thinks he's in a growing phase, they will continue with the Japanese. So it's not down to the team manager to close the deal. It's down to Honda. So the ball is on Honda's roof, right? The manager can say whatever he wants, but it's not down to him because he doesn't pay the riders. It's Honda who pays the riders.
Yep.
Through the four characters involved in this story, okay? Alex Marquez, we have spoken about Honda, we have spoken about Paul Espargaro, and we have spoken about the team where Alex Marquez is supposed to end in 2021.
So probably the direct question I've got for you, Manuel, is do you think there is validity in any of this, or do you think it's a slow reporting month for world sport?
Is it true?
Yeah. Do you think there is a play?
Look, yes, look, we forgot when we spoke about Alex Marquez, the manager of Alex Marquez, I spoke personally with him, and he said that he didn't know anything about what was going on, that it was a surprise for him. So, but he doesn't have to had said the truth, obviously.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. He can say what he wants, yeah.
And that would be expected. If this is a play that's being organised by Honda senior management with influence by Bush, you wouldn't expect rider managers to be a part of that.
No, but if it's true that he doesn't know, this has been a threat to Marc Marquez. If it's
a threat. A threat.
Yep. If he's acting, then it's okay. But anyhow, the thing is that the figure Alex Marquez is doing, whether it's true or not, is like poor guy, poor guy. He's like Mr. Nobody in this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are extraordinary times. If you don't think that 2020 could have got any weirder, we've proved that it has.
Exactly.
This is going to be a quick, what I'm going to dub as the murder round for basically Stu and I, because I know Manuel doesn't want to weigh into too much of this because there's not going to be a lot of this that's based on fact, but Stu and I are just going to dive straight back into this. Pole was at the Austrian tests, Stu, in late May.
Mm-hmm.
What's your gut feeling saying that some of this is starting to come up from what he was starting to pull out of those tests?
Yeah, I'm possibly thinking so. I'm thinking that he's...
For them to sign Jorge Martin, now we're starting to get inclinations on Espargaro. Something's got to be coming out of that.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Do you think this happened 2 weeks ago?
No, not at all.
I think I think that this whole process has started 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. It comes out now, but a few weeks ago, I think someone's listened to our podcast as well.
Who would you put on the KTM seat, Stu? Pole goes out. Who do you put in?
Ooh. You take Pole out of that KTM seat. Well, realistically, you've got Petrox looking for a ride.
Yep.
I would see, and I know that he's been talking about possibly going to World Superbike, but I've also heard that he wants to stay in the MotoGP paddock. So for me, that's a good fit. But with Red Bull being Red Bull, I would much rather see Remy go there, have a development rider come up. Yep. Yep. Oh, Manuel's going off again. He's smoking the broccoli again.
I am like an astronaut, like floating in the air.
I think he's having a 70s flashback.
I think he is. Yeah.
Odyssey 2001. Odyssey 2001 music in the
back. No, I mean, Petrucci is the obvious one for me because he's looking for a seat. But yeah, Manuel, what do you think of that?
Stu, look, analyze.
Okay.
Pedrosa test rider. 1 meter 60.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Petrucci, 178, 30 kilos
Mhm.
more. Look at the other KTM riders. Which is the size of Brad Binder? Which is the size of Lecuona? Which is the size of Miguel Oliveira? They never, ever would put a 2 meter guy on a bike
A
when the test
big dude on
rider
a bike.
1.5 meters. And
Right.
said all this, I know that he has already been rejected by KTM officially.
Really? Okay.
No,
Right.
no place, because it's just a matter of physics at this point. Okay, apart from riding or not riding or this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is Remy the right size?
I tell you something more.
Big again, isn't he?
Look, Red Bull invests in KTM's project 30 million euros.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they would not be satisfied with 4 riders that are basically rookies. They need a figure. They
And
need
a lead rider.
somebody
Yeah.
that shines more. This is, again, it's not a speculation. It's just analyzing.
Yeah.
And at this
So-
point, in my opinion, the only rider that matches there is Andrea Dovizioso. Look, I can tell you, and this is again, Dovizioso was ready to retire. Ready to
Okay.
retire because he was tired of the situation inside Ducati. This has opened a door to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is very good for KTM if they reach an agreement. The problem will be the money, probably. You know, because Dovi is a very top rider, and the money they were paying to Paul is probably 1/3 of what Dovi would ask for. Now it's down to them to see. But Dovi would be perfect. He's a very good test rider. He's fast, and he can give the others time to come. You know, the other KTM riders.
So is this not a place that, because I mean we're from what we've been saying, Alex will be going to LCR if this is all true. So there's going to be one of those guys who's going to be looking for a seat as well. So is the KTM seat something that Taka or Cal would be suitable for as well?
No. If you think, look, Nakagami is not better, in my opinion, than Oliveira or Brad Binder can be. And regarding Cal, they won't take a guy who is 34, who last year was thinking of retiring. In my opinion, and this is something that is very personal, one of the reasons they could hire Paul is because Paul's riding style is quite similar to Marquez's riding style. He's the second most aggressive rider, or he's in the group of the 3 aggressive riders of the category, or 4. 3, 4. One is Mark, the other one is Cal, the other one is Jack, and this is Paul. If they are, like Lucho said, negotiating with Cal, now they have a card in their hand to negotiate with Cal. In the past, Cal was yes or yes.
Yeah.
You understand? So, and then...
So this could be a potential contract play with Cal that we're hearing here. This could be leaked just so Honda can drive down Cal's price a bit.
Absolutely, and this can be also a play to lift Paul Espargaro's contract in KTM.
Right. Yep.
Again, that's because, you know, at the end people say this and this. Just, it's a pure negotiation, maybe. You understand?
Yep. Beautiful.
So to start to wrap this up, let's go through what we know as fact, Manuel. We know that Paul Espargaro has not confirmed his exit from KTM. True or false?
True.
So that's still yet to be announced. Puig has officially put a media release out saying we do not have any contracts signed with anyone that have not already been announced.
Which is Mark.
This is true, but this is nothing worth. It's just,
So I suppose the bare fact out of that is Mark's got a contract, Cal doesn't have a contract, Taka doesn't have a contract, and Alex doesn't have a contract.
The reading between the lines here is he has not said that Honda trusts in Alex Marquez. That's what has to be read in between lines in this statement.
Okay, I think that's what we should probably end on. That it has not been confirmed that Pol is coming in, but HRC do not have the confidence within Alex.
We have to check to remember also Ducati. Okay, Ducati is still looking for a rider. So this has for Ducati is like shaking the tree. Now they are once again in a situation of, wow, we have to invent something.
Yeah.
And as Stu alluded to, this could have been created to destabilize Ducati in that way.
David, they do it by their own. They are masters.
They do it themselves.
remember all what has happened there in the last 3 years. They don't need anybody to help them.
Yeah.
All right, I walked into that one, didn't I?
Nice.
All right, thank you so much. We'll put a lid on this, and we'll get this out to the listeners as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Manuel. Thank you so much, Stu, and Andrew. Thank you so much as well. We've been bouncing texts, mails, videos, everything between the three of us. We hope we've added some clarity to what is an incredible situation that's unfolding in the 2020 season. Manuel hasn't finished. He's ripping up the script as we speak.
No,
he's got one more point.
David, we haven't clarified anything, but we have taken out of the photo what was just fog. You know what I mean?
And distraction. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do was to.
Yeah, and we will probably find out something more in the next days. But the thing, and what we try to, with the humility to teach our listeners is to watch, to pay attention instead of just reading or what or hearing.
It's like a very good magician with the sleight of hand. Don't look at the mouth. Yeah. Watch the hands. Always watch the hands.
I don't know.
That's what's going on right now.
I don't know about the listeners, Manuel, but every time we go through one of these sessions, I take away something from an analysis perspective and how to view the world differently. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight. Stu, Andra, thank you for putting your weekend time. Listeners, you are the ones that we do this for. So hopefully this has added something for you to think about over the weekend and add to your decision tree as well. So
indeed.
I'm going to sign it off there. Thanks for listening, guys. We've enjoyed putting this together.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Guys. Bye.